Hello everyone, now you will hear a short retelling of the film, Where the Truth is Hidden. Enjoy watching. Comedians Lenny Morris and Vince Collins were superstars in the 50s. But their careers ended when the body of a young Maureen O'Flaherty was found in their room. It's been 15 years. A young journalist, Karen, came to Vince Collins. The man wanted to write an autobiography and sell it to a publishing house for $1 million. After all, everyone wants to know why their duet broke up and what happened to that girl. Lenny met Maureen for the first time before the 40-hour telethon. He was just copulating with another lady. The embarrassed girl asked Lenny to give her a short interview. Maureen writes for the student newspaper. They agreed to meet in an hour. Lenny was a bully and a heartthrob. He was constantly hitting on the ladies, even if they were with the gentlemen. Any problems in this case were solved by his assistant Ruben. But somehow Lenny was rebuffed right during the performance. Vince calmed his friend down and wanted to smooth over the uncomfortable situation. But the man continued calling Lenny names. Vince invited him to go on stage, but first he would have to change his clothes. Suddenly, this calm gentleman attacked a spectator and brutally beat him unconscious. No one dares to talk about his friend like that. Since childhood, Karen has been a fan of this duo of comedians. That telethon was an incredible event. The friends worked on stage for 39 hours without a break. Karen flew to New York first class. Coincidentally, Lenny Morris was on the same flight. His assistant Ruben was always there for him. An excellent servant. Lenny took a fancy to a pretty stranger, and he decided to have lunch with her. Right here. Fortunately, folding tables can be installed in the first class. The journalist decided not to give herself away and introduced herself by a different name. And she allegedly doesn't know that a celebrity is sitting in front of her. They had a nice chat and Lenny wanted to escort Karen all the way to her apartment. The man promised that they would definitely meet again. As soon as the 40-hour telethon ended, the duo from Miami immediately went to New Jersey. They were supposed to open a new lounge in the hotel, which belonged to the influential gangster Sally. Their safety was provided by the chief of police himself. After the press conference, the famous guests were shown to their room. Suddenly, a woman's scream was heard. Maureen, the dead maid from Miami, was lying in their bathroom. At that time, many people were taking illegal substances. But Vince didn't know the measure, which is why he often couldn't control himself. 3 months before the telethon, Sully ordered the stars to come to his hotel immediately after the performance. For this, they will get whatever they want. I'll order a whole carload of Amaras for you. Do you like Amarov? Very. Sally wasn't fooled. Before the telethon, their room in Miami was flooded with gifts. Most importantly, they were greeted by a huge box of ice and live Amaras. Lenny placed an order and asked Maureen to deliver it to his room. Today, he and his friend will have a great time with this student. No one saw her alive anymore. In the morning, Karen was woken up by Lenny's call. He invited the girl to an expensive Chinese restaurant. Karen asked if he would like to write a book, to which Lenny replied that his biography would be released only after his death. The waiter brought sumptuous dishes. And when Lenny saw Amar in front of him, he felt uneasy. Karen first saw Lenny when she was a little girl. She attended that famous telethon and immediately fell in love with Lenny. And today, 15 years later, they slept together. In the morning, Karen was awakened by the hum of a vacuum cleaner. The maid demanded that the girl get out of here as soon as possible. Lenny ran away and didn't even leave a note for her. Was she really just another girl for the night? Karen came to visit Maureen O'Flaherty, the mother of the deceased. The poor girl was only 21 years old. Maureen's father never recovered from the tragedy, so he decided to pass away. The woman hopes that her daughter did not do the same, otherwise she is not in heaven now, but in hell with her husband. Police Chief Scalia was one of the first to discover Maureen's body. According to the official version, she died of an overdose. That's just how the maid from Miami ended up in a hotel room in New Jersey. Scalia, this is of little interest. The main thing is that the dead girl really interfered with the gangster Sally's business, so the investigation was accelerated, and Marin's body was immediately cremated. Amrov was served to the passengers on the plane. And then Karen realized how Marin's body got to New Jersey. The girl's corpse was thrown into a box with ice and live Amaris. That's why tiny scratches were found on her body. Who did this to the poor girl? Karen came to see the second comedian. Vince told me a lot about his childhood, but he never got to the most interesting part. In the store, Karen ran into Ruben, Lenny's assistant. He is very ashamed of his boss behavior. He always treated the ladies very badly. Having got a woman, Lenny immediately left her. But it's even better for Karen. Vince invited the journalist to the hospital, where he visited sick children. He hired a young singer, Alice, to perform in the play. Vince insisted that they continue the interview the next day because he had to have time to prepare a surprise. Lenny Morris is coming here now. The girl was discouraged because she pretended to be another person in front of him. We need to escape before Lenny gets here. However, it was not possible to avoid an uncomfortable situation. Karen apologized for her lies. Actually, Lenny's an asshole too. He left her alone in bed and didn't even leave a note. Now Karen had to justify herself to Vince because she slept with his ex-partner. Vince invited Karen to come to his place in the evening, and after dinner suggested that the girl take drugs for dessert. They're pretty light, and they won't hurt. But soon Karen lost control of herself. Hallucinations began to haunt her. Suddenly that girl from the hospital started singing. Alice was here, in the same dress. The rich man came in and offered to do whatever they wanted. I didn't have to forgive the girls twice. When Karen woke up, she saw Vince looking pleased. Vince took a lot of compromising photos that night. He began to blackmail the journalist. They'll finish the book, but there won't be a word about that dead maid. Karen threatened to point out in the book how he tried to blackmail her, just to hide the truth about the dead girl. If necessary, she will publish these photos herself. Karen turned on the recorder and asked the question directly. Who came up with the idea of putting Marin's corpse in an ice box and shipping it to New Jersey? Suddenly Vince attacked Karen and began to strangle her. But after a second he let go of her neck and burst into tears. It's Lenny, Vince replied. He knows everything. 15 years later, the man returned to the same hotel room. He put on a suit and ordered 3 bottles of champagne. After that, Vince got into an ice bath, took a lot of pills, and washed them down with champagne, never to wake up again. After this incident, Lenny's manuscript was placed under Karen's door. He is also writing a book about himself, but it will be published only after his death. Lenny described in detail how that evening went. A smart student hid a dictaphone in the room. All 3 of them took pills. Lenny decided to freshen up in the shower first. When his partner finished with Marin, he replaced him. Lenny didn't expect Vince to fall in behind him at all. Lenny took off his pie buddy and was indignant. They love each other, of course, but as friends? What's all this for? He was furious and kicked Vince out of his room. The partner locked himself in, and Marin began to blackmail. She demanded to pay her, and a couple of bills would not be enough. Only a tidy sum will make her keep this intimate prank a secret. The girl who couldn't hide was starved by the pills she took, so she stayed in the room and fell asleep on the couch. Lenny never saw her alive after that. In the morning, the comedian was woken up by Ruben. They approached Marin and realized that she was not breathing. Lenny understood that the dose of substances taken was not fatal, which means she was murdered. All the doors were chained shut. No one else could get into the room, which means that Marin was killed by his partner Vince Collins. They put the girl's body in a crate and transported it by plane to New Jersey. The newspapers said that Marin's body was found in the bathroom, but it remained in the drawer, and the chief of police helped celebrities hush up this story. After all, he also worked for a gangster. Vince didn't remember how he did it, but Lenny understood that his friend had committed the murder out of fear. After all, in those years, the slightest hint of bisexuality would have ruined his career. However, their careers were already ruined. They couldn't work together anymore, even look into each other's eyes. Lenny is mad at Karen. It was because of her that Vince got drunk on pills. He also never sent her his manuscript. She must have stolen it. On the street, Ruben approached Karen and asked to talk to him. He has a tape recording of everything that happened that night at the hotel. Ruben found the tape the morning after the tragedy, and now he hopes to sell it for $1 million. And then Karen realized why Vince had turned to the publisher. He was being blackmailed by Ruben, and the $1 million was supposed to go into his pocket. Ruben also took the note from his boss, which he left after a night with Karen. He also gave her Lenny's manuscript. The assistant manipulated the comedians and the journalist. Ruben was also in the room that night. He hid in the closet, and when everyone was asleep, he went up to Maureen and smothered her with a pillow. Ruben killed the girl to blackmail the rich. After taking the substances, Vince was not sure of his innocence. When their patron, Gangster Sally, died 15 years later, Ruben immediately demanded $1 million from Vince to be silent. This monster killed a young girl and destroyed her family. Karen told Maureen's mother the whole truth, but she will be able to publish this story only after Lenny's death, as he requested in his manuscript. At this wonderful moment, the video is coming to an end. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share your opinion about the video in the comments. See you soon, friends.